My name is Alex. At 16, I was what most people would call just another guy, blending into high school corridors with my plain hoodies, sneakers, and a perpetually messy backpack. On the outside, I was normal, maybe a little shy, definitely not the center of attention, but there was a secret side of me that no one, not even my closest friends, knew. A side that longed for something different, something exciting, something feminine. It started innocently enough. A fascination with my sister's clothes. One day, while she was out with her friends, I tried on one of her skirts, just for the thrill of seeing how it felt. It was liberating. The soft fabric, the way it hugged my waist, the sway as I walked, it was intoxicating. I looked in the mirror and hardly recognized myself. Not that I hated Alex, I liked Alex, but there was something thrilling about seeing a different version of me staring back. My sister, Lily, was the opposite of me in almost every way. Outgoing, popular, and effortlessly stylish, she carried herself with a confidence I envied. She had this group of friends who were always laughing, gossiping, and teasing one another in a way that made me feel like an outsider until that fateful afternoon. It began with Lily's best friend, Mia, spotting me by accident while I had borrowed one of Lily's dresses. I froze, expecting ridicule, maybe even outrage. But instead, Mia's eyes widened, not with anger, but with delight. "Wow," she whispered, "you look really cute." My face burned red, but there was also a spark of something I hadn't felt before, validation. Someone actually appreciated this hidden side of me. From that day forward, my secret became my obsession. I started sneaking into Lily's wardrobe, experimenting with outfits, makeup, even hairstyles. I practiced walking, adjusting my posture, learning to mimic the subtle gestures that made Lily and her friends look effortlessly feminine. It was thrilling, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. School became a different experience. Instead of just blending into the background, I began to think about the possibility of stepping out just a little into this new persona. I wasn't sure if I could ever show anyone openly, but the fantasy alone made my heart race. The idea of Lily's friends noticing me as cute as one of them, even if just in secret, was addictive. At home, things were complicated. Mom was supportive but practical, always reminding me to focus on studies and responsibilities. Lily, well, she had no idea. She had her own world, her own friends, and I was just her younger brother. I had to be careful, or my double life would be exposed in a heartbeat. I found myself planning around her schedule, learning when she would be out with her friends or busy with homework, so I could experiment without getting caught. Then came Emma. She wasn't my girlfriend yet, but she was the first person I truly trusted. Emma was smart, empathetic, and open-minded, someone who made me feel safe. I confided in her a little, hinting at my fascination with feminine clothes without fully revealing my secret. Her reaction wasn't judgmental. She was curious, supportive, teasing in a way that made me both nervous and excited. Emma became the anchor to my secret life, the one person I could imagine sharing this side of me with, even if only in whispers and hints. The setting for all this was our suburban neighborhood, where everyone knew everyone else's business, or so it felt. Our home was modest but cozy, with a small bedroom for me that doubled as a sanctuary for my secret hobby. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting both Alex and my feminine alter ego, reminding me constantly of the duality I was learning to balance. Lily's room, larger and always immaculately tidy, became the source of endless temptation: skirts, dresses, stockings, shoes, and makeup that I could barely resist. The initial mood was a mix of tension and excitement. Each day, I walked the fine line between ordinary high school life and the thrilling secret of transformation that awaited me behind closed doors. The risk of being discovered by Lily, her friends, or even Emma created a delicious tension that made every outfit change feel like a mini adventure. I remember the first time I wore heels without anyone knowing. My legs shook, my balance wavered, but there was a rush of power and confidence I had never felt as Alex. Standing taller, shoulders back, I caught a glimpse of my reflection and almost didn't recognize the girl staring back. Soft features accentuated by makeup, hair carefully styled, posture graceful. I felt alive. The stakes weren't just about appearance, they were emotional. I wanted to be seen, accepted, maybe even adored. I longed to slip seamlessly into this other world, if only for moments. And when Lily's friends began to notice me, commenting, teasing gently, laughing at my charm, I realized I was stepping into a reality I had only dreamed of. The attention was intoxicating, validating, yet terrifying. Every compliment carried with it a whisper of danger. One misstep and my secret life could shatter completely. By the end of the first month, I had carefully navigated several encounters with Lily's friends while fully dressed in feminine clothes. Each time, I felt a mixture of pride and anxiety. I was no longer just Alex, the shy, unnoticed boy. I was the cute girl they couldn't help but notice, a persona that existed in whispers and sideways glances. And I knew, deep down, that the more I stepped into this role, the more complicated and thrilling my life would become. The story begins here, a 16-year-old boy learning to balance ordinary life with a secret passion for femininity, guided by curiosity, desire, and the dangerous thrill of being noticed. I was about to discover just how far this double life could take me, and how much I could risk for the attention, admiration, and acceptance I craved. After the initial thrill of trying on Lily's clothes, my obsession grew faster than I could manage. Every day at school, I felt the anticipation building, waiting for the moment I could retreat to my sanctuary and indulge in my feminine side. The lines between Alex and the girl I became behind closed doors blurred more and more each day, and I found myself dreaming in soft pastels, frills, and delicate fabrics. I started small. A skirt here, a blouse there. I experimented with subtle makeup, just enough to enhance my features without drawing attention if anyone happened to glance my way. Eyeliner, mascara, a dab of blush, tiny steps that transformed me from a shy boy into a girl who could capture attention without trying too hard. Each night, I practiced. Walking, sitting, tilting my head just right, smiling in a way that seemed natural. Mirrors became my closest friends, my teachers, and my judges. The thrill wasn't just in dressing up. It was in the secrecy, the constant risk of being caught. Every creak of the stairs, every unexpected knock at the door made my heart race. I had to be perfect in my timing, flawless in my execution. One mistake, one sound, and my secret life could unravel in an instant. At school, I watched Lily and her friends carefully. How they laughed, how they carried themselves, how they looked at each other with an ease that I craved. I began to mimic them, softening my voice when I whispered to Emma, practicing gestures, even laughing in ways I hadn't before. My body was learning a new language, one that was delicate, feminine, and commanding attention in subtle, irresistible ways. Then came the first real challenge, being noticed. One afternoon, while wearing a blouse I had borrowed from Lily, a skirt that hugged just enough, and my first proper pair of flats, I walked down the hallway with my head held high, feeling the thrill of every eye on me. I could hear the whispers, feel the glances. And then, the words I hadn't expected. "Alex, you look so cute today." It was Mia, Lily's best friend, standing with a smile that made my knees weak. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. But instead of anger or ridicule, there was admiration, excitement. They weren't just noticing, they were appreciating. They were seeing me, and that feeling was intoxicating. Home was no less challenging. Lily had started to notice subtle changes, missing clothes, slightly altered makeup on her vanity, whispers of laughter when I thought no one was around. I had to become smarter, craftier. I learned to hide items, return them with careful precision, and erase any trace of my experiments. Every step of this journey required cunning and stealth. Emma became my confidant during this time. I didn't tell her everything, my experiments with heels, my obsession with makeup, but I hinted enough for her to understand that there was a side of me that I couldn't resist. She teased me gently, laughed when I hesitated in front of the mirror, and offered advice in a way that made me feel seen, understood, and supported. With Emma, I could explore the thrill without fear of judgment. The transformation became more elaborate. One evening, I stood in front of the mirror, carefully applying foundation, mascara, and lipstick, then slipping into a dress that Lily had left folded neatly on her chair. The fabric clung to my shoulders, flowed around my waist, and brushed my thighs. I added heels, wobbling slightly at first, then learning to stride confidently. The reflection staring back at me wasn't just Alex. It was a girl who commanded attention, who exuded charm and confidence I hadn't known I possessed. Each transformation was accompanied by internal conflict. I loved the thrill, the admiration, the sense of becoming someone admired and desired. But I also feared exposure. What if Lily found out? What if her friends discovered me before I was ready? What if Emma misunderstood my desires? Every risk was amplified by the secrecy, each glance from someone at school or home a potential hazard. The suspense escalated when I received an unexpected invitation. Lily's friends were hosting a casual gathering, and Mia playfully suggested that I should join them. My heart leapt. This was an opportunity to step fully into my feminine persona in public, to be recognized for who I was behind closed doors. But the risk was enormous. My family, Lily, and others could be around at any time. One wrong move, one slip of speech, and my secret could be exposed. I began planning obsessively. Outfits, makeup, hairstyles, everything had to be perfect. I practiced conversations, learned to mimic the way Lily and her friends laughed, gestured, and moved. I spent hours standing in front of the mirror, perfecting the tilt of my head, the curve of my smile. The girl I became wasn't just a disguise, it was a persona, carefully crafted, one that I hoped could survive scrutiny. The night of the gathering arrived. I slipped into my outfit, a soft pink dress that flared just above the knees, heels that made my legs look longer, and a carefully styled wig that framed my face perfectly. Every detail mattered. I checked my reflection again and again, adjusting, perfecting. I could feel my heart racing, my palms sweating. This wasn't just a test of my appearance, it was a test of my courage, my ability to navigate a world that could reject me in an instant. Arriving at the gathering, the initial moments were terrifying. Every glance felt like a potential exposure. But then, laughter, smiles, and genuine compliments started to flow. They saw me as the cute girl I had become, not Alex in secret. The exhilaration was overwhelming. I walked, talked, and laughed with a newfound confidence, the thrill of acceptance flooding every nerve. I was living a dream, walking a tightrope between reality and fantasy, between risk and reward. But danger always lingered. Every step of confidence came with the gnawing fear of discovery. I had to constantly monitor the environment, watching for Lily, her mother, or anyone else who could inadvertently expose me. The tension was addictive, heightening every moment of triumph, every laugh, every touch of recognition from Lily's friends. By the end of the evening, I realized something profound. This wasn't just about clothes or makeup, it was about identity. I had discovered a side of myself that demanded expression, recognition, and exploration. And the stakes had never been higher. Each success, each compliment, each glance from someone who appreciated my feminine persona only deepened my desire and increased the risk. The build-up closed with a single, tense moment. Returning home, exhausted and exhilarated, I paused in front of the mirror, realizing the double life I had cultivated. Alex and the girl I had become existed side by side, intertwined, each dependent on secrecy, each craving acceptance. The thrill of transformation, the suspense of exposure, and the intoxicating attention I received from Lily's friends had become my new reality, a reality that was as exhilarating as it was dangerous. The weeks following the gathering were a whirlwind. Each day at school, I felt the pull between my secret persona and my regular life intensify. Lily's friends had started treating me differently. Smiles lingered, whispers followed me down hallways, and every compliment made my heart pound with both exhilaration and fear. I couldn't help but smile, but behind every grin lurked the anxiety that this fragile balance could shatter at any moment. The real test came one Monday morning. I had decided to wear a slightly bolder outfit to school, a pastel skirt that flared just above my knees, a lace-trimmed blouse, and my favorite pair of heels. I had spent an hour perfecting my makeup and adjusting my wig, ensuring that every detail aligned with the girl I had become. My reflection in the mirror reassured me. I looked perfect. But perfection comes at a price. In the first period, Lily's friends surrounded me like a protective entourage, chatting and laughing, complimenting my style. The attention was intoxicating, but it made me hyper-aware of every step, every movement. I walked as delicately as I could, careful not to stumble in the heels, careful not to reveal the Alex beneath. Each glance from a teacher, each turn of the hallway corner, made my chest tighten with fear. Then it happened. During lunch, Lily appeared unexpectedly, accompanied by her older brother, Jake, whom I barely knew. My heart skipped a beat. Lily's eyes narrowed slightly, a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Jake, on the other hand, stared with barely concealed amusement, as though he had just stumbled upon a secret meant to be kept hidden. The room seemed to shrink around me, every noise amplified, every whisper a potential revelation. I tried to maintain composure, laughing with Lily's friends, adjusting my posture, tilting my head just right. But when Jake stepped closer, a flicker of doubt crossed my mind. Did he recognize me? Could he see through the persona I had spent months cultivating? My palms sweated, and my legs threatened to give way under the weight of my fear. The tension escalated further that evening when Emma called. "Alex, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice tight with concern. I had learned to read her tones. She was sensing something, the delicate balance of my double life unraveling slightly. She wanted answers, but I wasn't ready to give them. The conversation was a dance, each word carefully chosen, each response measured to avoid tipping the scale. Then came the ultimate obstacle, the school talent show. Lily had insisted I participate, praising my fashion sense and charm as if they were talents in themselves. My mind raced. This was a chance to showcase my feminine persona publicly, to be admired openly, but it also meant stepping onto a stage where exposure was inevitable. Backstage, my nerves threatened to betray me. I adjusted my wig, applied a touch more blush, and smoothed the skirt of my dress. Every heartbeat felt like a drum signaling potential disaster. I could hear the audience murmuring, and in the crowd, I imagined everyone I knew, friends, family, even Jake, watching, analyzing, judging. The fear was suffocating, but it was intertwined with a rush of excitement I had never experienced before. When it was my turn, I stepped onto the stage, heels clicking against the wooden floor. The lights were blinding, and the murmurs of the crowd swelled into a roar in my ears. I walked, turned, and smiled, every movement calculated to maintain the illusion of grace. Lily's friends cheered, boosting my confidence, while Jake's amused smirk and Lily's intense stare reminded me that one slip could expose everything. Midway through my performance, disaster struck. A gust from the stage fan caught the edge of my skirt, lifting it slightly. Gasps echoed in the room. My heart raced. I froze, hands trembling, eyes darting around. The audience murmured, some laughing, some curious, and Lily's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. "Alex, pull it down." I fumbled, heart pounding, but managed to restore the skirt to its proper place. Relief and terror collided within me. I finished the performance, bowing as applause filled the room, but the adrenaline left me shaking. The symbolic moment, the skirt slipping, was more than a near wardrobe malfunction. It represented the fragility of my secret life, the constant danger of exposure, and the thrill that kept me coming back for more. After the show, Jake cornered me. "You're interesting," he said, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I think I know a little secret about you." My stomach dropped. He could ruin everything. My mind raced. How could I respond without revealing the full truth? I forced a smile, trying to appear nonchalant, while inside, panic roared. Emma arrived shortly after, her eyes scanning me with a mixture of relief and concern. "You are amazing," she whispered, pulling me aside. "But we need to talk about everything." The tension between exhilaration and fear was unbearable. I wanted to share my secret, to finally be seen and understood, but I wasn't ready. The risk of rejection, of judgment, was still too high. That night, I sat before my mirror, heels kicked aside, wig off, face bare. The reflection staring back at me was both Alex and the girl I had become. My heart ached with the desire to merge them, to live openly as the person I had discovered I was. But the stakes were high. Every compliment, every glance, every step into public feminine space carried the threat of exposure, judgment, and ridicule. The climax ended with an unresolved moment that would define the rest of my journey, a notification on my phone. A picture had been taken at the talent show, a close-up of me, skirts slightly lifted, smiling nervously. The image was circulating among Lily's friends, some amused, some admiring. I stared at the screen, frozen, realizing that my secret was teetering on the edge. Would Emma see it? Would Lily? Would the world finally glimpse the dual life I had worked so hard to conceal? The evening air felt heavy as I walked home, the cool breeze doing nothing to ease the tension coiling in my chest. The events of the day, the talent show, the near slip of my skirt, Jake's mischievous grin, the circulating photo, kept replaying in my mind, each memory sharper than the last. My reflection in the darkened shop windows along the way reminded me of the delicate line I was walking. Alex on the outside, the girl inside. One misstep could shatter the carefully constructed illusion. When I reached my bedroom, the first thing I saw was my phone lighting up on the desk. Another notification. My hands trembled as I picked it up. The photo from the talent show had been shared in a group chat, Lily's friends commenting, some teasing, some downright flattering. My pulse raced. Each ping, each comment, felt like a step closer to exposure. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, realizing just how visible I had become. Emma's name flashed, next on the screen. My chest tightened. I knew what the text would be before I even opened it, a mix of worry, curiosity, and that ever-present undertone of suspicion. The moment I read it, I froze. We need to talk about today. Now. No emojis, no sugarcoating. Just stark, clear words that made my stomach drop. Panic and exhilaration collided within me. I had navigated so many dangerous situations, each time escaping unscathed, but this felt different. Emma wasn't just a bystander anymore. She was an active participant in the potential unraveling of my secret. What would she say when she saw the picture? Would she understand? Would she judge? Or would she? The possibilities twisted through my mind, leaving me dizzy. I heard a knock at the door. My pulse jumped. I wasn't expecting anyone. The knock came again, insistent this time. Heart hammering, I grabbed my wig and smoothed down my dress, even though I knew the intruder wouldn't see me yet. I approached cautiously, peeking through the crack of the door. Standing there was Jake, holding his phone, a sly smirk plastered across his face. "Hey," he said casually, as if nothing was amiss. "I think we need to have a little chat about your performance today." His eyes gleamed with mischief. "Everyone's talking about you." My stomach sank. Not just a photo anymore, now a conversation. A confrontation. He had seen me at my most vulnerable, had glimpsed the girl I was trying to hide from the world. I opened my mouth, but the words caught in my throat. I didn't know what to say. Just then, my bedroom door burst open behind me. Emma stood there, eyes wide, hands trembling slightly. "Alex," she began, voice wavering between worry and astonishment. Her gaze swept over me, taking in every detail of my outfit, my carefully styled hair, my nervous stance. Is this who you really are?" The room froze. Jake's smirk faltered, replaced by curiosity. Lily's friends could be anywhere, the photos still circulating online. And there I was caught between two realities, Alex and the girl I had become, exposed to the people whose opinions mattered most. I swallowed hard, my heart racing like never before. I wanted to explain, to justify, to plead, but the words were stuck, tangled in fear and anticipation. One slip, one wrong expression, and everything could be ruined. Yet, Deep down, a flicker of hope sparked. Maybe, just maybe, this was the moment I could finally bridge the gap between my two selves. Emma took a hesitant step forward, eyes softening slightly. "I need you to tell me everything," she said. "No more secrets. Now." Her voice was firm, but there was a trace of care beneath the command. I glanced at Jake, whose expression shifted from amusement to intrigue. He raised his phone slightly, as if to capture the moment, then hesitated. The power dynamic had changed, the tension in the room palpable. Every second stretched, every breath a countdown to revelation or disaster. And then the phone buzzed again. Another notification. I looked down, my heart skipped a beat. A new message from Lily. "You're the cutest girl in school. Everyone's talking. Meet us tomorrow?" A flood of emotions hit me at once. Fear, excitement, dread, and a strange thrill. Tomorrow could mean complete exposure. Tomorrow could mean acceptance. Tomorrow could change everything. I took a shaky breath, glancing between Emma, Jake, and my phone. The room felt impossibly small, the stakes impossibly high. I wanted to speak, to make a decision, to take control, but the words wouldn't come. And just like that, everything hung in suspense. One moment, caught in the eye of a storm of curiosity and judgment. One moment, poised between secrecy and revelation. The world outside my door was waiting, but inside, I was frozen. Alex, the girl, the secret, all intertwined in a single heartbeat. The screen of my phone glowed in the dim room. Jake's smirk lingered. Emma's gaze pierced me. And the photo of me, skirt slightly lifted, smile nervous yet radiant, was circulating faster than I could control. I didn't move. I couldn't. The next second could change everything.